Um, Hello everybody, and welcome to our second communications or media training in the coalition. And today we're absolutely thrilled to have some guests from Radio Workshop who are joining us and delivering this training. We're so thankful to you all. We've got Sammy. We have Marianne, and both Sammy and Marianne are program coordinators at Radio Workshop. But I'm sure as they start speaking, they'll explain a little bit about what they do and what their work involves. And then we've got Amelie as well. And Amelie is an impact. And wait, Amelie, I better get this right. And Amelie is an impact and learning lead. And I'm sure you'll also explain a little bit about what that means. But otherwise, let me hand over to you, Sammy, and just let me know when you want me to change slides as well.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Introduction. My name is Semi Ramudike. I work for Radio Workshop as a program coordinator and a senior regional mentor. And then my responsibilities at the Radio Workshop is to build and maintain relationships with community radio stations across South Africa, and also to forge new relationships with stations, and also build relationships with community organizations, stakeholders, CBOs, and then make sure also we train the youth and make sure that we capacitate our youth programs, and also assist the stations in making sure that we provide sustainability in the work that we do within the station and the communities that we work with. Yeah. Mary Ann, do you want to jump in?
Hi, everybody. I'm not too sure if I'm at a cafe, so I'm hoping everyone can hear me really clearly. My name is Mary Ann Nobele, and I work with Sammy and Amelie at Radio Workshop as a program coordinator and trainer as well. How my work differs from Sammy's is that I'm definitely more on the youth side of things when it comes to like youth engagement and partnership building. But yeah, basically coordinating the program on the ground a bit more and working closer to youth because, well, I'm almost as young as they are.
Okay. I think you've met Amelie before, so it means we can proceed with the presentation. So the presentation will be done by me and Mary Ann. Time and time and again, I'll be calling in Mary Ann's name just to jump in. Okay. Just to start, who we are Radio Workshop. Maybe you can change a slide. Okay, we are Radio Workshop. Um, in South Africa, we have 11 project sites, and also we also operate in other uh, countries in Africa, South Africa being one, Ivory Coast, Tanzania, and the DRC, and other parts of Africa. That's where we are very strong in terms of our programs. So for someone who doesn't know Radio Workshop, we partner with community radio stations and make sure that we recruit young people, whom we are going to train and give them skills to research, interview, record, and basically work on radio as youth reporters. And I think the objective of the work that we do is to amplify youth voices and to make sure that we give young people a platform to raise issues that matters most to them, and some of the issues that are more important to young people and are center of what Radio Workshop does. It's issues around education, health, climate change, elections, migration, employment, human rights, sexual reproductive health and rights, mental health, gender-based violence, just to mention a few. And in Africa, we have an audience reach of about 9 million listeners across 50 radio stations in these 5 African countries. And of course, our time in terms of broadcasting differs according to the station, how our slots are allocated. And also, not only that we do radio, but also we are in the space of podcasting, because podcasting, it's where we tap into your more of a international audience. Podcasting, we do it with our station partners and the youth. That's where we expand or dive more into these issues that we talk about, with an interest of attracting a global audience. And the objective of our podcast is, of course, amplifying youth voices, telling African stories in a context that is from our background, and also young Africans sharing their stories to the world. So I guess that's the work that our podcast is doing, and we have done a lot of podcasts, and I'm happy to announce that Mary-Ann was one of the people that we featured in one of our podcasts, and the podcast has done a lot. We've won numerous international awards on a global stage. Mary-Ann was there flying South African flag very high, and some of the numbers that we are able to reach with our podcast, some podcasts you will find when you go there on the website or podcast site, Spotify. We've got podcasts that have an audience or reach of 23 million. I mean, this is the wonders that we have done as Radio Workshop, and to show that the stories that we share to the world, more especially in an African perspective of young people, based on the issues that we face, there is an audience that is willing to listen and willing to support the young African stories. Maybe Mary-Ann, you can maybe quick 1 or 2 lines about your podcast and the experience, and how your podcast gain a lot of interest from the global space.
Yes, sure, Sammy. So yes, as Sammy mentioned, I have produced a 3-part series called I Will Not Grow Old Here, which just looks at life growing up in a township, and just the complexities of what young people face when trying to actually leave that space, but not wanting to feel like they've, abandoned it completely. Another podcast we have worked on is one called This Whole Life, which basically looks at a story in Emalahleni, well, in Creole, which is close to just outside Witbank, looking at the transition from coal to green energy, which is something South Africa is currently working on. I'm pretty sure all of you guys know that. And basically how it's going to affect the people, how much they know of it, and just looking at whether it really is going to be a just energy transition. Even that podcast has been recognized on the global podcasting stage, and it's brought home an award. So yeah, I think we're trying our best in terms of carrying our weight on the podcast scene, but the core of our work really is the radio in communities across the country and continent as a whole. Shazia, I think you can go to the next slide. Thank you. So as I've mentioned that our core work is at the radio stations throughout the country. Here are some of the communities we are in. We've got 2 sites in Limpopo, one in Mpumalanga. We've actually just established a relationship with a new site in Ermelo. We've also got 2 in Durban, which is in KwaMashu and Duba. We've got 2 in the Eastern Cape, looking at Mthatha and Gqeberha. We've got 1 in Atlantis, 2 in Johannesburg, in Gauteng, sorry, and 1 in the Northwest. Next slide, please. So how we go about creating these sites is that firstly we identify a radio station that is like in the community already, because we found that our work, community radio stations carry a lot of power because they care more about the community. It's not about numbers, it's not about statistics, it's not about getting the adverts, it's about making sure community voices are heard. And so that's why we often look for community radio stations. Once we do find community radio stations, we work with them very closely to help establish a youth show. Most times they already do have the idea of a youth show because it's part of their mandate as community radio stations to make sure they have youth shows, because youth do form part of the community. Once these youth are identified, they are trained on basic journalistic skills and how to do radio, basically. So like links, considering adverts, and it's not just talking, sorry. It's not just them going on air and just talking, but also understanding how to do things like research, put together content, production, formats, and a vast majority of things that go behind creating a radio show. Once that's happened, then the youth start going on air weekly. Most of our sites actually go on air every Saturday, but with certain sites, it goes to like Wednesdays, Fridays in the afternoon after school. And then they go on air, they talk about these issues that affect them. Sammy also mentioned that we've got podcasts. So we've got a whole podcast team on the side that actually focuses on producing these podcast episodes with some of the youth in these communities we work in. And we offer ongoing support to these sites. So it's not like we go in, we do this training and we expect them to produce radio shows every weekend, but annually we come through to make sure they have a great understanding of the content, through hosting workshops or even hosting our youth mentors so they can pass the knowledge on to the youth at the sites. And in doing that, we obviously encourage them to connect with community organizations, because at the end of the day, as much as we want to amplify youth voices, we understand that young people aren't the most educated and informed on these topics. And so the most they can share is their opinions and stories. And so we encourage partnership and collaboration because we do want those expert voices to come in. And so that the community, it almost legitimizes the content, because community members often do see young people and say, what do they know? And so by them interacting and creating these relationships with organizations, activists, and CBOs, they're able to bring those voices, the facts, and their opinions to the shows. Yeah, we can go to the next slide, please. So as part of producing formats, which is something I spoke about, we've got PSAs, Vox Pops, audio commentaries, and interviews, which, I mean, I'm happy to go into each. So PSA is basically a public service announcement where there's like a certain theme. I'm pretty sure we're all familiar with like, we beat TB. That can be considered a PSA. That's sort of, it's almost like an advert, but it has like a strong message and it's trying to have a good call for action. Vox Pop represents voice of the people. And that's basically when our youth go into their communities and ask a very simple question just to hear what the community members think or feel around this particular topic. We've got audio commentaries. The keyword here is comments. So we go to people with a question and they share their opinion. So they're commenting on the statement or question based off of their opinion solely. We've also got interviews, which I think everyone's familiar with. It's basically a dialogue interaction between two people. And last but not least, we've got an audio profile, which is a lot more personal compared to an audio commentary. People share their own story. So if we're looking at like teenage pregnancy, we might want to get a young person who had a child in their teenage years to talk about whether it's their experiences, the challenges they face, but kind of just sharing their stories. I'd like to believe audio profiles are the closest to like podcasts we have, just short ways to capture that without being too, excuse me, too heavy for the youth to try to figure out. I know Sammy had worked on putting together these audio pieces. I'm not sure if we have that, Sammy.
Okay, I'm sorry because we were working on an online what you call presentation, and this one was the one that was downloaded and shared with the team. So I think we'll share the updated presentation to them just to go listen. But I'm happy to take on the upcoming slides and just to explain how we capture this formats, because this is the way where we are able to get those stories and be able to talk about how we package the stories. Can we please jump to another slide?
I think this is where I come in before
okay.
you. Yeah. So I think I just want to say thank you so much, Sammy and Marianne, for introducing to us the kind of work that you're doing. It just makes me even more excited. And I'm sure the members here, quite a few of them have put their names down to be interviewed on these shows that you're speaking about. So we're exceptionally excited about the reach that you have and the methods that you use to tell stories, because something that we agree about as a coalition is that media training really matters for our movement. And what we're trying to do with getting our voices into community radio stations is to amplify the frontline voices, amplify the lived experiences and local struggles of our amazing members in their own words. And of course, we believe in the power of storytelling, especially from the ground, because we think that this is an important way to shift narratives and influence change, which is all about what we stand for. And a lot of our members have expressed that they would like to have to build their confidence in the media. And so through this training, and hopefully when you speak to how to speak on radio coming up soon, we hope that you can help our activists to speak clearly and confidently and persuasively across platforms, because we also have a podcast which our members can use, and we would like our members to feel more confident speaking and to take more initiative on the podcasts. I know Mutlatsi is on here, and Mutlatsi did an amazing job in our podcast on IDPs, and we want to see more of those podcasts coming from our members. So that's something that we aim for. And I guess something that's important to us is reclaiming the narrative. And I'm sure it's important to you all too, because too often climate stories are told about us, and we want our members to be able to tell their stories about themselves. And we believe in a multi-platform communication. So our first training was on op-eds, how to write an op-ed, and we've got some stellar op-eds from following that training. And now this training is about how to conduct oneself in a radio interview. So that's amazing. And hopefully after this webinar, we'll have some beautiful interviews on your radio shows across the country. So that's something I'm really looking forward to. And I think just in general, our movement is stronger. The climate justice movement is stronger when our messages are clear and compelling and rooted in voices on the ground. So that's something that I think we also find quite important. So thank you very much for sharing what you do. And we look forward to hearing how we can be better and how we can conduct ourselves in those radio interviews that hopefully will take place quite soon. But let me move on to the next slide. Oh, there we go.
Okay, thank you. And I guess everyone is excited to be or to hear their voices on radio. Radio, it's more like TV, I know, but TV it's pictures, but radio it's voices. And when someone hears their voice on radio, they become excited. And this is what we want to do and make sure that we amplify the voices of our people and our communities and make sure that in the work that we do, no one can feel or feels intimidated when they are given the platform or the opportunity to be interviewed. And then I will take you through the sessions, recording sessions, how to achieve good audio quality and how also to work on some of your nerves, because it's natural when you are interviewed or maybe when you have to speak on radio. Sometimes you can have that stage fright, and yeah, and that can also be a challenge in terms of disseminating information. You might not be able to communicate clearly your message across, but it's important to follow the following recording tips. And because some of these interviews, we believe that we're going to partner you according to language, location, proximity to the stations. And some of these interviews, they will be done remotely. And then sometimes I know that we might have other commitments, but like Miriam spoke about formats, we can teach you how to use your device to record and send us whatever recording based on the set of questions that were shared with you to respond to. But first, let me go to tip number one: be in a controlled and a quiet space. When recording, find a space that does not echo or where you won't be interrupted while recording your audio piece. What exactly we mean is make sure that your room has a good, nice control of noise. We cannot hear any other external sounds or noises, because I would imagine maybe you are given a platform and you are talking about serious issues based on how you would be um, assigned questions, and then behind your noise there are kids playing, or there's nice piano music playing there. That can be very disruptive. Or maybe there's a lot of unnecessary noise. Maybe it might be windy, and that causes distortion when someone is listening on radio. And a listener can sometimes feel a little bit irritated by that type of noise, and it's a switch off moment. A listener can jump to another station and missing out on the important information that you were sharing on that time, and the information that also can impact or have an effect in their own personal life. But you see how sound can also make us not to receive information, and how it can disturb. So it is important that you can have a controlled space where your sound is highly monitored. Good recording device: ensure that your phone is on basically when you record. Sometimes we become overexcited, and how our thoughts operate. You might have this brilliant idea on how you want to present, and you start answering those questions very nicely, and after that, guess what? The on button was not pressed, meaning you were recording on an off mode, and that can kill your vibe, and maybe you have shared more concrete points, and by the time you're going to do a re-record, you are now starting to be nervous. You're starting to overthink about what you said earlier on. So just make sure that your device is on, and do not disturb, so that and turn off do not disturb, so that we don't have the notification. Sometimes you hear when you record a message, there'll be that doo-doo, doo-doo. That can also be very destructive or annoying to the ear. And also your battery life. If maybe you were selected to say, this week we are going to have an interview with you, you don't want to be saying, I'm going to charge my phone, give me 2 minutes, or while we are on the platform and people are enjoying your points, and then there goes your battery, it dies. It will kill you as an individual in terms of your confidence or the points that you're bringing across. So it is important that all the time make sure of your phone is on, your environment is controlled, you've got enough battery life, and there is no any other distraction. And also distraction, we're talking about kids sometimes, or people passing in front of you. That can be also a very destructive, because you can have those pause moment that will kill maybe your thoughts as you are speaking, maybe live on air, or having that telephonic interview, which is also live on air. And then the other thing, we're gonna move to mic technique, it is important that you have what we call a thumb rule. A thumb rule, like there's an emoji there, like you, that's the distance that you have to hold your mic. Basically, you do like the sign of this emoji. You place your thumb finger on your lower lip, and then that's the distance, and then your pinky finger, that's where your recording device must be. So that why we want that, sometimes people speak close to the mic and that causes distortion, and then it's difficult to work on the sound in terms of we want to re-edit that good information you're sharing, but because of bad sound quality we cannot work with that audio. And also it's taking time from the engineers and also from you. Imagine re-recording one task. So also we know that we have got other commitments. So it is important that when you record, you keep a nice distance using a thumb rule. You don't speak your mic close to your lips or your phone, or you shout. Sometimes people shout when they speak, maybe on their phones or on the mic. So in radio, you just have to make sure that you maintain a certain pitch, a certain level. And also talking about a mic, I know a lot of people when they are given a mic or when they are on, they like to change their tone. I don't know if there's a tone for radio, but if I was like, I maybe I can do an example. Like you can hear my tone now, but when they give me a mic, I'll be like, "Hi, my name is Sammy. I'm here." So that can also be annoying. So just be uh, natural when doing your recording. This goes to voice projections. Just be natural as possible, because people um are interested in personality. Like radio, I might be interviewing Mary Ann and people just love Mary Ann's personality, so they don't want to hear a different Mary Ann, because that can make them to say, how is she sounding today? And that can also make you to lose some of the most important points that you wanted to uh, bring on the day, because when you are now focused on how you sound compared to the information that is expected of you to deliver. So it is important for you to be natural, so that you maintain the same sound quality and also voice projection. It also speaks to the mic technique. Some people are soft spoken. So when you are soft spoken, we, we encourage you to a little bit take your phone or your mic closer, but not as close to your lips, so that people can hear you. So how to achieve this? Maybe you can record yourself, maybe, yeah, record yourself as a first take, and then hear your voice, and then maybe play it to someone and let them be a judge to say, is the voice good? Is the voice audible? Can people hear the message without struggling? So it helps to have those voice rehearsals in terms of your volume or sound projection. But we're not saying to you we must go sound like your DJ Fresh or Bonang Matabe, but it's important to maintain the same personality that you have. So, and also make sure that your voice, it's audible, you are clear, you're not stumbling, because that can also make a listener to be annoyed if you are speaking, and then but we can't hear you. And the beauty of Radio Workshop and how we partner with this community radio station, and how we are going to place everyone, we are going to place everyone on those stations based on language. And yes, there are those who say, okay, you can do English, but that it's optional. But there is that opportunity for you to express yourself in your home language, because most of our constituency or our listeners are people, and are old people, and people from different spheres of life. And some, English is not our mother tongue. Some people, they are learning, or we are learning to express ourselves or to hear. But sometimes important and valuable message can be missed because of the language. So we encourage everyone to use your home language, or use the language that you are comfortable, so that you can be able to take or give the people a clear message. Because sometimes I can speak English, but you find that how I'm conveying my message, it's not clear to other people, but I can speak Zulu or Sepedi if I'm good, and then you find that I can be able to express myself and have more points to give and more examples to give the people, so that they can understand the work that we do and the work that you'll be presenting. And this also goes to preparation. It is important that you prepare, make sure you know and understand what the conversation is about, so that you can stay on topic and focus on sharing the important information. So preparation speaks to, when we're doing these interviews, we'll assign our youth reporters and their senior mentors to reach out to you, and then they will also give you cautions. And I bet with you, you might think these are young people, but their thinking, their level of understanding of these issues, it might be around climate change. It has grown in a sense that they are now cautioning leaders. So it is important that you don't take those cautions for granted. You prepare, and then you bring your best A game, because if you are not prepared, it is easy for a listener who is listening at home to lying, or is not prepared. Because remember, what makes a community, like I said, we have different people who comes from a different educational background, different spheres of life, and some people are professionals or are academics or professors. So imagine if maybe we are interviewing you about climate change, the just energy transition. Our community, some, they are experts. They do, it's their work that they do. And then we bring in the expert, someone that we believe that they are going to help us and the young people to spread the message across and to give educational information to the listeners, information that is going to be vital, information that it's going to change behavior. And then there comes our guest is not prepared, they are going, then a listener can simply pick up a call and call you right on the spot and correct you. We don't want that type of um, setup, because we've experienced it and we know how radio works. And once you say something on radio, it's not like TV, whereby we can say cut, 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 cut. Let's edit. Once the red light is on, it's on. So it is important for you to prepare before the interview. And then I'm gonna talk about recording techniques. It's more of using your devices. Ensure that your recording device is actually recording, like your cell phone. It's on. Allow for a dry run. It's important for yourself to rehearse or practice before the actual interview, because sometimes we overthink, and then that can make us to lose important points. So you can record yourself and then listen to yourself, give someone to listen to your recording. If you want to be scrutinized, they can help to scrutinize so that you can polish your interviews or your pre-recording material. Because also the beauty of how we're going to work, it's either some based on how we agree. It can be a pre-recorded audio, whereby you can record on your phone and give us today, and then the audio will be used on Saturday's show. So a pre-recording, it will give you enough quality time to record the best quality audio that you want, with all the good element that makes a good recording, because you will be relaxed without panicking, with all your information and all the things that you need to give. You will know that you are not going to panic. And then also make sure that there is, of course, someone who's going to help you when recording, if because sometimes you can be recording and holding your phone on the side, you're holding a paper, and we don't want that paper sound. Maybe you can have someone who can hold a device for you if you opt for a pre-recording, or if you are on the phone, just make sure that all looks good. Yeah, like I said, our interviews can be live or pre-recorded. And of course, we'll give you, maybe if you can move to another slide. No, not this one. Okay, this one was a podcast that you can listen to and hear the work that we do. But basically, the work that we shared around recording, I'll also make sure that we attach the audios as sample, in terms of maybe some of you can opt to say, I can do this. I want, when it's my chance, I will tell them that I want to do an audio commentary, like Marianne has explained, that audio commentary is when you are commenting on a subject, and then but we'll make sure that we avail the audios for you, so that you can start to have a clear understanding of how we collect these audio stories and how impactful are the audio stories. And I thank you. And I think your role is also, because we are running a campaign, and our campaigns differ every month. We have a new campaign. Like currently, we on youth opportunities and the green jobs. And I guess with the direction of Amelie, they will tell us when are we ready to start with campaigns with you, and when can we actually start with the project of getting to interview everyone who's here. And then Amelie, maybe you can lead us from here.
Sure. Okay, well, I'll just say a word on campaigns. The big campaign on climate change and the energy transition is going to be in August and September. I think it launches on the 11th of August. So yeah, in terms of interviews, I think after this call, after this, let's just go through the questions and everything. But the idea really is that we've been pairing you linked to language and the different radio stations that can so we've been pairing you. We'll be sharing that and sending invitations out, and then based on your availability and also the type of format you want to do and all that. So I think there'll just have to be an initial engagement to see exactly what in what way you'd like to participate, and then obviously we'll share the questions before. It's a very collaborative process. There's no surprises, there's no like trick questions or anything. And I think maybe something just to add is that we're very appreciative of you all being willing to do the interviews, because I think at the moment we work on many topics, as Sammy and Marianne mentioned. But what we found is, like, when the young people do shows on like a topic such as gender-based violence or sexual reproductive health, they already have a lot of contacts and a lot of experts to call upon their shows. But on the topic of the energy transition and climate change in general, many of the communities don't have expert voices and just people to talk to bring in the shows and make the shows more interesting. It's always a collaboration between the youth reporters that do their homework and do go and get voices and things in the community. But the experts really add something to their shows. So we're really looking forward to this partnership and collaboration with all of you. So that's it. I think now it's questions.
Thank you so much. I think that was an amazing presentation, and I think those tips will certainly be useful. But I guess we can open up for questions if there's anything that wasn't clear to anybody, or if you have any questions for Marianne or Sammy or Amelie, please, yeah, here's your chance to ask.
Hello.
Yes,
Hello.
go for it.
Yes. I am trying to get some clarity on the basic of recording. Yeah. Maybe she explained that they do have the language. We can record with our own language if we interview other people. So in terms of translation, they do have this lot of translation when people who speak in their own language, or how can we do that? Because sometimes we cannot how to do translation on the screen. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. How we going to do this? It's very easy. We are audio organization. We not focus more on paper in terms of writing. So what you will be doing, like we said, we're gonna be partnering or placing you to station that is near you, or the station that accommodates. If maybe you speak Sepedi, will link you to Pedi speaking stations. So meaning the question, you'll have your question in English, and then because you'll get enough time to go through them, and then how you respond, that's when it becomes optional to speak. You can use English or use your home language, because what's important here is also to make sure that the people who are listening, they get the message. And the issue of language comes in whereby we speak English to a community that is 100% locals, and English becomes a problem because they can't understand the language. So basically, we are sharing a very important message to people that they don't understand. But if you use the language that they understand, it will be easy for them to read or to listen and interpret the message that was conveyed through the interview. I think I'm answering, or Marianne, you can add if I missed something there.
That sounds like you covered it. But if the answer's unclear, please let us know.
No,
Yeah.
everything is clear now. Okay, thank you. Because where I'm staying, people, they always speaking Sotho. So I think it's good when we go to the radio station that they, the old people always, they prefer to speak their own language. It's very important to, to go to the radio station where the people, they do more listeners, and they speak their own language. As our target market is where we target to the audio that can hear our voice, hear our demand, hear our climate change. So many questions. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mpai. Dorothy, I see you unmuted. Do you want to speak? No? Are there any more questions? Francina? Oh, Katlego, can you give Mom Francina and then you go afterwards?
Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak, and greetings to everyone. My name is Francina Nkosi, and I'm based at the rural area of Lephalale. My question is based on sometimes you are being interviewed knowing that these are the questions, and then while you get there, and then they ask you one or two, and then they change the direction of questions. How do we deal with that situation? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for the question. I think this is one of the most important questions. But I believe with our youth program, we'll make sure that everything is communicated clearly, because these are young people, are not like your big radio experts, whereby maybe sometimes they can ask you about what to take on General Mkonazi stance. You understand, and then maybe they just want to pick your brain. But with our program, our content, we're gonna make sure that everything that is going to be asked, it's something that our guest is aware, or they are aware of, and they've went through the question. So thanks for the question. We'll also make sure that everything that we share, it's everything that you're going to be exposed to when you are live on air. Nothing new. But sometimes it can be unpredictable. Maybe you might be calling, or they might be interviewing you, and then floods are happening today. So sometimes radio is spontaneous that way, whereby we report on events as they unfold. It's not like TV where we have to wait for 7 o'clock, watch the news. So let's say maybe at 9 o'clock they are interviewing you, and there was an earthquake, maybe in Lephalale. You understand? And I think I would ask to say today, talking to Mam Francina from Lephalale, yo, actually, before we jump into things, are you safe? I heard that today there was a big volcano or earthquake. You understand how radio can be spontaneous, but all is noted. We'll make sure that nothing new or will come up with surprises on the day. So thanks for the question. We'll also put it to our sites to be aware of unplanned questions, that no unplanned questions. Maybe if it's something spontaneous or that is happening, let your guests in advance or before they go on air. I guess I'm answering.
Yeah, and just wanted to add that I think when we send the follow-up after this, we'll also give people different options. So not all the interviews have to be live. Actually, many I think will be pre-recorded. And there's different types of formats. So I think the idea really is that everybody feels comfortable and everybody shares in a way that makes sense to them. In the context of the shows you're joining, you will be the experts, and people are really interested in hearing about real life stories and yeah, so there's really, it's not about tricking anyone or making anyone feel uncomfortable. Very much the opposite. We'd really like you to all feel comfortable and share the stories, what you have to share to be able to do that and feel comfortable in doing so.
Thank you. Can we have Katleho and then Dorothy?
Oh, thanks, Shazia. I think I might be covered for some of the questions that I wanted to raise. Even Amelia has highlighted what the points that I also wanted to raise, but I also want to comment on this initiative to say this is a good initiative for the youth and for also community activists to be able to be prepared in terms of interviews on radio. and what to say on radio and not to say on radio. But I also heard that there's different locations where you can find the podcast. In Limpopo, you spoke about two, which was Luwahomu. I didn't get the second one. And I also wanted to know if it can be able to expand to even the Sekhukhune area, because I think that's where the mining activities and a lot of activities are happening in Sekhukhune. So I was wondering if Sekhukhune is also part of those areas that have been spoken about that you partner with. Thanks.
Thanks. Very interesting about this Sekhukhune area. Maybe share your email and email and the name of maybe community radio station in Sekhukhune, and if maybe you have contacts you can share to us, and then we'll see opportunities if there is an opportunity for us to start a partnership on that side, so that we can of course look at those issues that are happening or are caused by mines under climate change, but not promising anything, but all is noted. The other station that we work with, it's Motse FM. It's in Limpopo, between Siabuswa, which is Mpumalanga, and the other side of Limpopo, but it's Motse FM and Greater Leboa.
Okay, thank you. I see Katlego has shared her email address in the chat, Sammy, if you want to note that. Guys, we're just going to take Dorothy and then Nelly, but then we have to close because it's 11 o'clock. So Dorothy, do you want to ask your question?
Thank you. I think I've been answered. My question was, I had an experience where I had to do an interview on a radio, and I asked for questions before the interview. They have to send me a list of questions that they're going to ask me, but the producer took forever. And during the interview, some of the questions I couldn't answer because they just ambushed me. So I wanted to know how do we deal with it? Can I say no? I can't answer that on air.
Okay, like I said, our programs are youth programs, and these young people, we make sure that they are facilitators, and of course they are also supported by us program coordinators. So with this relationship, we'll be working with everyone step by step, you as the experts and our youth reporters. So everything that is going to happen, it's everything that we are going to be aware of, and we'll make sure that we don't surprise you, and make sure that we're going to share everything on time so that you can prepare on time. And also from your end, if there's anything that you are not sure of, you'll communicate with us, or if you want to change of plans, you'll communicate with us on time. But we're going to make sure that this relationship, it's a very tight one, and that everything, the stories, the interviews, all it's going to be a success. And we promise that our presenters won't ask silly or unplanned questions that are not related to your scope of work.
Thank you for that reassurance, Sammy. Nelly?
Shaza, can I ask in the Free State, they do have
I have to maintain order. So Nelly is going to speak, and I think you can put your question in the chat if possible, just because we're running out of time. Sorry for that, Mpai. Nelly, do you want to speak?
Yes. Good day, everyone. I am Nelly from Ermelo, organization that is called Kutala Environmental Care Group. So my question is based on, I think it was Katleho's question or that how do you deal or respond to a rude, maybe a rude caller while you are on air, or a rude interviewer while you are interviewing someone? Because even if you are listening to a radio station, you can pick up some rudeness behind a person's voice. Ukuthi lona, here and there, they were rude, but they couldn't articulate or pick up those rudeness that is being implied by the caller. How do you deal or respond to that? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think in the history of Radio Workshop and how we groom these young people, I mean, we're not only grooming young people to be radio broadcasters, but we're grooming young people to be experts, future leaders. So how they command themselves, there is respect. And if you respect your listeners as a presenter, it comes back that way. So they respect, and also how we train them how to conduct themselves on radio, because some of these young people, their parents are actually listening. So it is very rare, or it will never happen whereby our presenter, our youth reporters are rude when they conduct interviews. And in the case of maybe a listener is calling, we have a power of a producer who is listening at the on the show, whereby we can simply drop and say, but that's radio terminology and radio how we operate, and say, oh, sorry, we lost that caller, but we had your views, and then we move on, because we don't want to create a toxic space between someone that we are interviewing and a listener who decided to be rude. And also, if you feel like you are not comfortable, like there's that option of pre-recording, whereby you record your interview, we're just gonna play it without you. It's no longer live, but we're playing it live. It's a pre-record, like your voice notes, how they will play your voice note. Hi, this is Sami, and you are listening to Emalahleni FM. So that's a pre-recorded material, and there is no listener who has a power who can call and say, I don't like that voice. But I believe also, as an expert in your field of work, the information that you are bringing, it's the information that the community is hungry to hear, and we don't see any information that is going to be brought by you that can cause division or create instability within the community or within a listener and the presenter and the interviewer. But all is noted. It's also some of the notes that you are taking, so that we make sure that we create a safe space for you as the experts, and not only you, but also our reporters. We don't want to create a space that the people can attack the young people, because if I would imagine if old person start to attack our youth reporters, because some of these young people that we work with are very fragile. Some are victim of circumstances. Like we said, we deal with young people who come from different spaces, different background, and some of the topics that we cover, it's issues around mental health, gender-based violence, and some of these people, young people, are victims themselves. So in our program, we make sure that we create a safe space for our listeners, for our youth reporters, so that when they report, they can speak comfortably, freely, knowing that they are protected. So rest assured, also with you as an expert, we'll make sure that by all means create a safe space whereby you will never be attacked or people fight you over a phone. I hope that answers you.
Yes, yes. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mpai, I see you didn't put your question in the chat. But I think because we are already at 6 minutes past 12,
Yes, Shazi, because my chat doesn't work. Even that is why I was trying to get any information from the Free State, which radio station they use,
Okay.
because mm,
Okay, sure. Can we answer that? if
Yeah,
possible?
I'm not sure. Xwexwa is in the Free State, eh? I'm not sure.
yes, but we are part of is the East Province. Well, now we are in the North Province, which is free. Velkom.
Welcome. We used to have a site in Kwakwa, but due to your COVID reason, we had to cut certain sites due to financial issues, which affected everyone. But since well now, as the organization, we are gaining our feet. We're hoping to expand, but I think it's a mandate that or a directive that will be given by the office when the time is perfect. And then I mean, if we have partners like you who have contacts, please share to us, and then I think it will be part of our discussions as the radio workshop going forward to say we have found these people who believe that we need to expand our youth radio program within these communities, and we believe that by us establishing those programs, you will be the champions of those projects, because you'll be helping us to lead conversations in those respective communities. I think Shazi has Amelie's email. I think if more questions, more suggestions, you can share to Amelie, and then Amelie will share to us, and then maybe in no due time will respond. And some of these questions of establishing radio stations, some of them are like they won't happen now because there's finances that needs to be injected, and also it speaks to the organization if we do have that type of capital to start those relationships. But we are very grateful and willing to see where can we get those programs happening, and see if there are opportunities for us to expand our project sites across those areas where we are not existing. But thank you. I think, yeah, we know the platforms that you can share the information so that we can take it from there.
No, thank you very much. And I think we will tomorrow during the comms working group meeting, if there are any extra questions, we can note them and I'll send them to Amelie and to Sammy and to Marianne. But I think
Yeah.
for now, ours is just to thank you so much. Thank you, Sammy, and thank you, Marianne and Amelie. I think thank you for the opportunity to platform our voices, and also for taking us through how we can give it our best possible shot and prepare for it. I think we're all really excited about this partnership, and really excited to see, to speak on air and to listen to ourselves on air. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Shazi. Bye. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that